and meet with people directly in their communities, generally in a school or an arena somewhere close to home. Since this is a little bit different this time with the public meetings being online, we did also schedule 2 weeks of one-on-one meetings where we've been able to meet directly with interested landowners, realtors, and developers to talk more about the implications to some of these maps. So we've had some great meetings so far. We've got a few more scheduled this week, and we plan to bring a report back to the board in December with the comments summarized of these engagements.
Thank you very much, John, for the update. Any question for John concerning those couple public consultation public consultation where we have concerning those two files? Seeing none, I do have a quick comment, John, and a quick question concerning. So you said that the report will come back to us in December for all the comment and all the concerns to the board.
Yes, absolutely. What happens when we have these draft maps created, obviously we go out and we get a peer review on that. Our staff internally review it. And once we're satisfied with the maps, we then meet with local councillors, developers, and then public to get a series of comments on those maps. Once those comments are finalized and we're confident with the draft maps, we bring them back to the board so that we can approve them to be used in our regulations program. So you'll see a summary of those comments in December, and the board will have a chance to weigh in on this as well.
That would be great, thank you, because I did miss that meeting, and I'm sorry I couldn't attend because I have another arrangement, but I will keep my eye on the minute and I will read the comments. So thank you very much for that.
Of course, and Mr. Chair, I might also add that since they were hosted online, they were recorded and they are posted on our website. So you can easily go back and watch Allison and I present again.
I heard you guys both did a great job. Anyway, thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
Next update also from John, I guess.
Just a comment on our joint partnership on the Ottawa River flood forecasting. It is a big collaborative effort to flood forecast for the Ottawa River. We work very closely, as most of you will know, with the Ottawa River Regulation Secretariat to interpret their model outputs and give our municipalities and residents good information when it comes to flood forecasting. In the last few years, we've made a lot of developments in this area. Most recently in 2020 and 2019, actually issuing these messages together with our Ottawa conservation partners, being Rideau Valley and the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority. So in the last few years, we've had some great updates to this work, which was recommended by the board in 2018. And I just wanted to give a shout out and say that this is something we're going to do again in the spring. And of course, we had a chance most recently to talk about that collaborative at the Provincial Flood Forecasting and Warning Conference last week. Thank you.
Thank you, John. This is a great job and a very good effort to see all our partner and us working together to provide this information specifically on the provincial flood forecasting. So thank you. Any question to John concerning this update? Seeing none, thank you very much, John. And now we move to next update with Sandra.
Good morning, board members. This is an update. We work together with the University of Ottawa. Every year, they have what they call capstone projects. They are the projects that the students have to prepare as in the last year. So this year was fantastic. It was a fantastic group of students, and they enhanced the flow forecasting and warning along the Ottawa River. So what we are looking at is being more efficient, giving the water levels to forecast what houses are going to be flooded. So we are having the next meeting is on Friday, where they will prepare, will present to us all the final reports and final models. We are looking forward to this.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Any question concerning the update from Sandra? Seeing none, thank you very much, Sandra. And next presenter will be Allison.
Good morning, all. Our planning team prioritizes being involved early in planning processes. We have a lot of advice and help that we can provide when we truly understand what people are trying to achieve with their community. One example of a service we provide is our property inquiry service. And I wanted to let you know that this year we delivered 55 property inquiry letters compared to about 43 last year. So this service is growing in popularity and it's certainly growing in its importance. It provides people with written notice of things like hazards, information on our regulations, and it's especially valuable to people who are looking to purchase property to give them some certainty of what to expect when they move in or when they buy that land. The other thing we do is offer free pre-consultation. And this is an example of a site we visited last week in Cheney, a new residential subdivision. We went on site, we met with the developer, got to know him, got to know his interests, and talked to him a little bit about this creek. And what we do is we save people time and money by doing this. Sometimes we have information about the creek, which will save them money on their environmental studies. Sometimes we can even agree to setbacks right off the get-go, which eliminates the needs for studies. This saves everyone time and money, including the municipality. So these are really great services that we offer and that make us feel good when we are able to complete them.
Thank you very much, Alison, and we really appreciate the hard work our planning staff doing, especially in this difficult COVID era that we've been talking. Anyone have a question to Alison concerning the update? Seeing none, thank you very much, Alison. Next presenter is Carl.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is just to let the board members know that we will be closed on Thursday, December 24th for the holidays and reopening on Monday, January 4th for the new year.
Thank you very much, Carl. I don't think anyone will have a question on that. Everybody is probably happy and getting ready to celebrate the holidays. So thank you very much for the update, Carl.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I understand that there is a sound issue on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So we may just need 5 minutes to see if we can resolve that before we start into our main meeting. So if we just want to pause for 5 minutes to let Carl, everything's working internally, but there's no sound on the YouTube for the public live stream.
Thank you very much, Angela. So I just want to thank all the presenters this morning and the staff for presenting very good and very nice presentation and update for the board member and for the listener. So we will be taking 5-minute pause to fix the YouTube issue on the voice side of it, and we'll get back in 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Can I hit that one?
Just an informal question for we who are here. Do we have any idea how many people are listening in or are on at any time? Can we check that?
I think that Carl would know, but we're all live right now. So,
yes, I know.
Yeah, so
I've activated a backup recording, so we will upload this afterwards. So it's not live right now, but it is being recorded, just so everyone knows.
It will be all made available to the public once it's up and going, but I'm not sure.
Okay. We're going good with the pace, is it?
I think, Carl, do we need 5 minutes then? Do we think we can resolve the issue, or will we have to make the recording available after?
If I can't after 5 minutes, then we'll just have to go with the recording and upload it straight after the meeting. So if I get that 5 minutes, and then I'll do my best, and if we'll go to the
That's a good idea. I find it cool.
Yeah, it was warm this morning.
Yeah. Well, it's good for ventilation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good idea, but.
I closed the windows. It's getting a little bit chilly on the feet.
Ever since I lost weight, I'm so chilled.
You must have found it cool too. I did.
I used to laugh because everybody at the office would have heaters in their offices, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. And then when I lost weight, all of a sudden I was like, can I have a heater, please? So is that controlled by them, or is it controlled by Carl?
It controls itself.
It controls itself.
Yeah.
So we don't have the option to. I know we started at the township, we started doing the teams split screen on from the public view. So you see the presentation and then you see
The rest.
The rest. Or the speaker and the presentation.
Probably takes a little bit less bandwidth as well to do that. But full PowerPoint is very.
This one is really big because the budget's included, so it's huge.
So we have to function this way, make it available.
See, ours, when people are watching us, I have to check. I didn't think, I know we posted on YouTube afterwards, but I didn't think it was live on YouTube at the same time.
Ours is live streamed normally.
Like ours is live streamed through Teams.
Most of it is on YouTube this stream. But I think sometimes there is a glitch.
Yeah,
so
it's technology, right?
It happened multiple times. Do we have any board member are not attending?
Today?
I think everybody is here.
Everyone is here except for Dana.
So I don't know if somebody is all board member here.
Just Dana.
Dana's not here.
Dana's not here. Yeah.
I saw Peggy, I saw Steve,
That's why I was asking.
Frank, and Danielle.
See everybody.
Yeah, I didn't see, I don't know if Jerry's on the line or not.
Okay, so I think, Mr. Chair, if they can't get it up, I think what we're going to have to do is, we have one invitee, Mayor Bybels, that we'll invite into the Teams meeting if he wanted to come in. And they will have to record and then do the posting after the fact, I think. I'm not having, so maybe at 9:30, I will start with we can do our minutes, and then we can start into new business after. Just trying to give it a full 5 minutes, and we'll move from there.
Yeah, because we have to have up to approval for the minutes and the SNC.
That's correct. Yeah, the two sets of minutes, and we'll be live streamed. We'll try our best, but I think we should advance. We have.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Where is Steve scheduled to come in, under A?
He's not scheduled to be on the agenda, but he'd asked to be able to watch the budget, so I just want to make sure he's able to do that if he wants to do it.
So it would be under B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, item B, 6B. Okay, so at 9:30 then, I'll for updates.
I'm not going to be able to fix the audio. I'm not sure what the problem is. It could be to do with the software. It could be to do with YouTube. We've tried a few things right now. I have the recording going so we can post afterwards, and we'll keep the video stream going, just so the public can watch the slideshow.
Yes, if we can do that, I think that would be good, but I think, Carl, it probably makes more sense to simply post afterwards, but, or communicate how that they can receive the full presentation after. I guess that's what we'll do. And Carl, I know we had another meeting invitee that had asked specifically to attend the meeting, so can you make sure that Mayor Byveld can access via Teams?
Yeah, I'll get that invite over to.
Thank you.
Will the recording have sound for sure?
Oh, yes. We're fine. What's recorded?
It's just what's on the.
It's just what's, it's, and
It's
you
what's
can
being
see the
projected.
video, but you can't, or sorry, you can see
Gotcha.
the video, but there's no sound. So we will proceed, and I guess that puts us,
Number
Mr.
5.
Chair, at number 5, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we'll, sorry about this technical difficulty, and that's something happens sometimes with technology. So we move forward with our meeting. So we move to number 5. We have A and B, and we have a request of approval for the board director meeting minutes of October 15, 2020, and you can find it on your agenda from page 4 to page 13. Can I have a mover and a second?
We have Peggy.
Peggy, seconded by Jerry. Any question, any discussion on the minute? Seeing none. All in favor? No dissent? Okay, thank you very much, board members. Next one is committee meeting highlight and minute of the Leitrim Wetland Advisory Committee meeting minutes of October 23, 2020. The board director approved the actions and recommendations of the Leitrim Wetland Advisory Committee meeting minutes of October 23, 2020. Can I have a mover and a second?
So moved, Mr. Chair. Mike Brown.
Mike Brown moved, seconded by Danielle. And any question on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Any dissent? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And now we'll move to number 6 on our agenda for new business, and we'll have an verbal update from Angela on Bill 220. I'll pass it on to you, Angela.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to give a minute. I thought I saw a hand going up. I didn't see who it was. Were there any questions before we move into new business item 6A?
I think they were just accepting.
Okay, so good. Perfect. I'm just have a PowerPoint that I'm just hoping to see on the screen as a short. We'll put that up. As many of you know, about a week or so ago, the Ontario government introduced the provincial COVID-19 budget and the Support Act. There are contained within the budget documents under Schedule 6, some correspondence has gone out to municipalities. You may have seen that. I was just going to quickly go over the key highlights of the bill and encourage any discussion or direction to staff regarding the same on this budget bill. So first of all, the amendments to the Conservation Authorities Act occur once the act is actually proclaimed. We suspect because it's a budget bill, it will move fairly quickly. First reading has already occurred. We are amending the Conservation Authorities Act, and I'm just waiting for the next slide here. And I think the internet is a little bit slow today. There it is. Okay, so a few changes to the administrative components of a conservation authority as they are proposed. Regarding the board of directors, it is clear within the information or the amendments that are provided that specifically the amendment suggests that all municipal appointees must be a municipal representative or an elected representative. So that would be. I'm laughing because I have a mayor texting me right now because there's a county meeting happening in Leeds Grenville that they want me on, but I wanted in a couple places. Anyways, just to say, the public appointment representatives are no longer being proposed as what the ministry would like to see. It also changes the duty of a board member to act in the best interests of the organization that they are working with, and creates the clear sort of language that a municipality represents a municipality's interest. And the minister may also appoint an agricultural representative to the board of directors if they so choose to enact it. That's on the board of directors composition.
Mr. Go ahead, Bill, I have a question.
I have a couple of comments and questions on this section. And the first one specifically, I'm interested in the City of Ottawa's comment, but I'm also interested in saying that in North Dundas there was a discussion, and they feel this is a restriction of their ability to decide whether they wanted to be an elected person or an appointed person. And that sounds a little bit like I'm speaking personally, which I am, because I did speak with the township on this at a meeting, and it was debated and discussed. So I'm interested in hearing the City of Ottawa's take on this, because they have 2+2. I'm interested in hearing from Leeds Grenville, because they have 2. And of course, I've given you the comment from SD&G. So are there, and I have a couple of other comments if I may, but may I ask for comments there first?
Yeah, so I did, Angela shared that with me last week. I know the clerk is looking into it now, but we didn't have any discussion in that topic yet, but it is coming to council for discussion.
Okay, and secondly, I'm not sure I understand the second one, because my reading of it was always that board members should generally act on behalf of their respective municipalities, but that didn't mean that when a decision was made that they didn't honestly reflect what the decision was and why. So I'm not sure I understand the change there.
I think there's lots of changes, and there'll be a lot of discussion about them. So I can go through the rest of the changes, and then we can talk about next steps if we like.
Okay.
Maybe. Next slide. Those are some major changes.
Yes.
Okay.
That will impact us.
Now, these are not new. The discussion of core programs, you'll remember we've had a lot of discussions about this. The basic information contained within here says that conservation authorities must provide certain mandatory programs deemed by the province. So looking at the natural hazards portfolio, the management of conservation lands and lands owned by the Conservation Authority, specific duties under the Clean Water Act, and other duties as prescribed by regulations. We may, as a conservation authority, still enter into agreements with participating municipalities to provide programs and services on behalf of those municipalities, again, subject to the regulations. We may provide other programs and services advisable to further the purposes of the Act, and again, subject to the regulations. And we must enter into agreements with municipalities if funding is needed to recover costs for programs and services. So where programs that are outside of core, that are other than those other programs discussed, we need special agreement with the municipalities to do that. Slide. There's some other changes. Instead of the Mining and Lands Commissioner, everything is appealable to LPAT. That's the Local Planning and Appeal Tribunal. The Section 28 permit refusal is appealable to LPAT. I don't think these are all necessarily bad changes at all. I think that there's some here that are positive. So I know there's a lot of discussion here. I've tried to do this presentation without a whole lot of quantitative analysis one way or another. So I think that some of these things make some sense. The Section 28 fees may be appealed to LPAT, so a permitting fee may be appealed to LPAT. It was also appealable to the Mining and Lands Commissioner before, and a permit holder may appeal to LPAT other conditions of the permit as well. Again, it's basically replacing the Mining and Lands Tribunal with the Local Planning and Appeals Tribunal.
Well, this is a good, I read this one, it looked like this is a good change because it streamlined the process to everyone.
And it may be a good change. I guess the only concern still is that, speaking from the lawyer's perspective, LPAT has has some delays as well that they've acknowledged. So it just, I'm not sure that it speeds anything up, but that's okay. If a permitting process is consolidated, that's okay. Next slide. There is an ability for minister's intervention under section 28. So a minister basically creating a similar power to a minister's zoning order like MMAH has for other issues that may deal with natural hazards, floodplain hazards, etc. The minister's permit or decision on permit may not be appealed, and the ministry may overturn a decision of the board. Those decisions were always appealable to Superior Court, and I suspect with some of the comments that come in, there may be some changes to some of these things because they may not be, fully fleshed out, I should say. So I think that's the last slide. Is there another slide on here? Planning Act appeals. Now, some conservation authorities appealed things to the OMB, etc. We didn't do that as a practice, so it doesn't really change our day-to-day here. But for some CAs, this will be a challenge, is a concern. Where it does seem appropriate, though, that a conservation authority could appeal something is where they are actually an impacted landowner. So if you own 13,000 acres of land, there may be, it would be rare, mind you, a situation where you should be able to appeal as a adjacent landholder or a landowner with an actual interest in the outcome. And I guess the other part here is that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to intercede on behalf of within receiving 20 days notice. So again, some of these things are interesting. Next slide. And that's all we have up here. I really think that there are some opportunities for the Conservation Authority as well as others. Some municipalities are passing resolutions. I sent it out to municipalities to sort of leave it to them if they felt they were uncomfortable or there were things in there that they, were thought should be discussed further. For our perspective, I don't know how much of a role we'll take. We've been involved in this consultation process from the beginning, from core programs to resolutions to resolutions to resolutions. We may circulate resolutions that municipalities have already sent supporting this, or just ask them to resend them during this time, because this may be a good time to have those concerns known. Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Before I ask any question or give any comment, I'll ask the board member if they have any question or comment for Angela. Archie, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I got a few comments and maybe a couple questions, if you will. First, on the board appointees from a council, from an elected council, I think that's a good thing. As much as South Nation has some very good public representation on there, I think across the board, it's better to have a council representative that is accountable to the ratepayers of their municipalities, township, city, when its taxpayers' money going to be used to pay the levies. I also took part in the webinar that took on Tuesday. I left a little bit before 3, but I asked a question about the ag appointed member. And there seems to be some not quite clear yet, I guess, how that the minister can appoint a member from the ag sector to sit on the board. I wondered how that was going to be triggered, if it's at the minister's discretion, or can that be requested from a conservation authority or from the municipality's partners or the ag sector himself. And I think that's something we need to look into, and I strongly would recommend that we look at that to make sure that we have ag rep on there, ag on our board going forward. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at quite seriously. Also, I guess right now, Angela, I got a couple questions. Does the public have access before our board of directors meetings to the agenda? And do they have access to the minutes after the board meeting?
Once the board meeting minutes are approved, like, so the meeting minutes that we approved today from October, they become public once they're approved by board.
Okay. What about the agenda before the meeting?
Yeah, the agenda before the meeting is public, absolutely. And we used to have, when we could operate normally, we would have members of the public be able to attend in the gallery as well, just like a municipality.
Yeah, okay, I think that should be available. I guess, I know in South Dundas's case, the agenda is available, I believe, on the Monday morning. We have our meeting on Monday nights, but the agenda is available to the public, and I think that will go a long way to help. Also, in our constitution right now, Angela, with the board members and the representation, where they're from, and the numbers, I guess, if you will, in the South Nation's constitution, is there any reference, or is that spelled out that, there's how the board members are appointed, and from what organization or what a group, and how many from what area, like SDNG is 3 and whatnot? Is that clearly spelled out in South Nation's constitution?
Yeah, so there's two places it appears. One is in our administrative bylaws, and the other is actually in our order in council from the Lieutenant Governor.
Okay. Thank you. One more comment. I mean, there was the Bill 229 and taking part in that webinar. It was very interesting, and I think we have approximately a year to get a lot of, when the bill is passed, and it's going to be passed, so there's going to be changes. I think we need to make sure that what we have done, and I heard that on that webinar, what is under the core mandate, or what the minister is saying is mandated, and what isn't mandated. I think we need to have that clear understanding, either from staff and board of directors, and that list needs to go out for review with our municipal partners and townships and the cities, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We have a year to get, I think, all the ducks in a row, I guess, if you will, and make sure that we're sorted through all this. But because there's some programs that, there may be differences of opinion, and if there is, I think we need to have, make sure that the minister's on board with what, conservation authorities and, what we might interpret as eligible for levy dollars under core mandate programs, and what isn't, and what agreements will have to be made with our neighboring municipalities. So I think there's some work ahead of us to get that done and get that cleared up, and make sure that our partners all are in agreement, and we're moving forward within the next year, as I believe 2021 is, and a lot of this will be implemented. So that's all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Archie, very much. Point well taken, and your comment, they were all valid, and I think probably, Angela, you took, we get some, make sure we take some of the concern that Archie have to get some answers and some discussion.
I think it's important to note that a lot of those changes, we don't have a lot of issue with. The agendas here are available online the same day that you get them. So if it goes up the Thursday before, our agendas are online already. Financial statements and all that stuff, that's all available, the same way as it is for the municipalities. So I don't see any real issues with many of the changes. So I think that that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. Move to.
I'll just add the comment that I agree in regards to resources. Obviously, like any municipality, we put out the information as soon as available, but obviously communication is a two-way street, right? The public needs to want to look for that information, so as board members, I think it's our responsibility to point them in the right direction when people have questions, and let them know that all that information is always available. But I mean, as a municipality, as a board for South Nation, I mean, we're very transparent. Any information is out there. People just have to take the time to actually go look for it.
Yes.
I have Steve, have a question or comment. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I agree with basically the spirit of what Archie was saying. I guess it's more of a question. As long as the municipality still has the ability to appoint a member to represent them, would there ever be an occasion where a municipality would feel better represented if they had somebody who had specific expertise appointed to the board of director for a period of time versus forcing it to be somebody who is on council? I mean, personally, I'm still learning a lot about South Nation as we go. And I can imagine that there are probably individuals out there who may have some expertise that, especially if a municipality is going through a particular series of changes, that they may want to have somebody on the board who has some additional expertise. So that's kind of more a question and a comment. If the language dictates that that it has to be somebody who's an elected official, might that actually put a bit of a stranglehold on a municipality, despite the fact that it's our practice right now? Might it put a bit of a stranglehold on a municipality under a certain circumstance? The other point I'll make as well is, again, I think it was the second point on the first slide where I was talking about, represent the interests of the municipality. And again, it almost sounds like unnecessary adversarial language, in the sense that it's almost setting people up to become an opposition rather than a partner with. I think in general, what we're looking for is the good of all, and we recognize that there's a give and take, and of course, somebody who's representing their municipality is going to be looking out for their interests. I just don't know that the language is necessary. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you, Steve. Very good point. And I think because we're going to have a lot of discussion over this, and I know probably Angela will have more discussion with other CAs, as much as you know that we are in very close communication with the River Conservation Authority in Mississippi, and I know that our general manager has been in talk with that. We'll have more a clear, actually probably after every municipality have discussion, and we'll actually gather all these thoughts and all these comments. Probably will have more opportunity to have discussion over that topic. Am I right on that, Angela?
Yes, there's just two additional things I wanted to mention. One is everything is subject to regulations, right? And I just want to be clear that when we get into a top-down process, it can be very difficult administratively when we get the direction at the 11th hour, and then it's all supposed to be in place by the 12th. And so I don't know if anyone's had experience working in this type of environment, but it would be really nice if we have only a year, the regulations better be drafted, is all I have to say.
Mr. Chair, very fast, and I'll just speak briefly on it. Is just to say this: I've been on a CA as a municipal councillor. That was for the Cataraqui, as a member of council for Elizabethtown Kitley, and I've served on this board obviously as a public representative. I appreciate that. It's obvious to me that the legislature is concerned that as a citizen representative appointed by council, I'm somehow, I guess, less beholden to the whims of taxpayers in terms of elections every 4 years. Obviously, it's an appointment process. It's quite public. The city of Ottawa does it quite comprehensively. I think what I will simply suggest is this, that I think the reference to the agricultural sector, I think there are other sectors certainly that the board has benefited from, and I know I'm feathering my own nest, but I am a lawyer. I know that for many years Al Perks served on the board, and he was an engineer, and I think his contributions to the board were superb when he spoke. And so all I'll simply say is twofold. One is that it's the first reading of the bill. We all appreciate it's going to be passed. There may be still some time to bring comments to bear to the minister. And I think that, my perspective would be this, that, they've allowed for the agricultural sector to have some appointment. I suggest there may be room for additional professional sectors to potentially serve at the minister's discretion, I suppose, but that's one suggestion. And I think the other thing is that you know, if there is an attempt by municipalities to at least cause the minister to consider allowing for the appointment of quote unquote unelected representatives, then I think that the one thing I would just suggest is simply that it's important to bring to bear to the minister the appointments process. You know, in Ottawa, it's quite a rigorous process. It's not just a clandestine meeting of a handful of mayors or whatever. It's a very public process. You have to apply. You may be invited to attend a committee meeting and answer questions. There's a whole process you have to go through. And so I wonder if the minister is fully appreciative of that process. I can't speak for other municipalities, but in Ottawa, it's quite comprehensive.
Thank you very much, Michael. I understand, and I do second your thought and your comment. But before we move forward, I think Pierre was going to make a comment on Steve's.
I just wanted to make a comment in regards to that second clause in regards to municipal representation. We've got to be careful how the wording is, because if they start playing with the wording and they, you know, it might turn into every municipal partner be representative. Because right now, if we look at, like, for example, Prescott Russell has 3 representatives, but they might, their own municipality could potentially not even be part of. So there's going to be we're going to have to look at that section really closely, because it might change the dynamic of the board itself.
I totally agree with you, Pierre. And we have Peggy have a question, then we have Bill. Peggy, go ahead.
Not so much a question as just Steve basically said what I was thinking in terms of the composition of the board. And Leeds Grenville, I mean, I'm no longer a municipal councillor, and the person who preceded me was not a municipal councillor either, but it was a public appointment. They did have meetings and decide who would be there. So just basically reiterating for Steve.
Listen, I hear what he's saying. If you look at from the City of Ottawa perspective, we have 4 members at South Nation, and I mean, you're not going to be able to find 4 councillors to sit on the board. We have 2 councillors, and they interfere always with some committee work we've done at the city. So I hear you and understand where you're coming from. So we'll have more discussion. Follow this, of course. We'll have an answers to the bill 229. So thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of comments. One is that I'm really interested in how many people were actually in the webinar and how much input they received. And I hope we can get that information sometime soon, because when I asked my municipality, they said, well, we have no concerns, so we're not going to be involved with it. And after discussing, they thought they might be involved. So I'm really interested in that part. Secondly, there were many meetings of review across the province over the last few years. And the former CEO and a couple of members from this board went to many of those, not many, well, I would say 4 or 5 of those meetings, and presented input and gave comments. And it was interesting that across the province, there were some of the CAs that wanted the minister to tell them exactly what to do and to pay for it. In other words, we want you to tell us exactly what our responsibilities are. Don't give us any leeway to be innovative or to bring up things that really affect our local municipality. Just tell us from above what to do and just give us the dollars to do it. And I know at that time we spoke against that particular part of it. And the last comment I would make is, I with in respect to all that have spoken in advance, but I believe that that municipal representation is not to be regarded lightly. And I think that if a municipality wishes to have a public person, they should have that option. Or if they wish to have their own person, an elected person, they do have that option. So therefore, I think it's the best of both worlds the way it is now. And I know that sounds like a personal speech, but it's a fact, I believe.
Thank you, Bill. And just a quick to follow up on Bill and Peggy's. And see, Angela, do you think it will be wise each each municipalities will be discuss this with their clerk and review the Bill 229, and then share with you our comment and send them directly to the minister from perspective of each municipality.
So I think we can get out the resolutions that we received last time, and you know what we did do is provide people with the information they could choose to do. I kind of did it in a very concise way. Because I know that some municipalities will feel differently than others.
Sure.
And a lot of these changes, quite frankly, affect the individual municipalities as much as they affect us. So I'm prepared to circulate what was done in the past. We are working on some materials for a few different councils at their request. And I think that that's the most appropriate way to handle it.
I think this is well said, and I think that's what probably we will be doing. And then, Bill, you have more
supplementary. In supplementary, I want to add to what a former speaker here said, and that is, many years ago, there were 35 representatives on the Conservation Authority here, and every municipality had representation. And I see nothing in the bill that was written, and I maybe don't read it as well as some of you, that says all can't now demand representation.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, other than they'd have to amend our order in council as well.
Okay. Any other comment or question concerning the topic of Bill 229? Thank you all. It was very good conversation. We documented all the comment and some of the question. I think Angela have a lot of work ahead of her to share with ours, and then we'll probably sharing with our municipalities. So thank you very much, Angela. We don't need to do nothing for this. It's just a invitation to receive.
Yeah.
And we'll move next to our number B, request for approval of 2021 budget in the agenda from 20 to 21. We do have a presentation, but we have a recommendation. I guess we'll go through the recommendation and then we'll open to presentation and question after.
Sure, the presentation will be long and share, of course.
So can we go? Okay. So there is a recommendation that the board director approve the 2021 budget, and further that if future debates on the 2021 budget lead to increased demands for funds, the equivalent amounts will be decreased elsewhere in the budget. Therefore, not effective the 2021 levy amounts, and further that if surplus funds are identified during future debates on the 2021 budget, the surplus will be directed to the SNC reserves. Before we, I like to have a mover and seconder so we can move to the presentation and the debate. Pierre, mover, and Steve is seconder. And the floor is yours, Angela.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I don't know where I should look. So I don't know if I should, can everyone see where, I feel like I don't know where possibly. Okay, so I will begin. So good morning, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our 2021 budget. The theme of this year's budget is people and nature. The future is local. 2020 is certainly one for the record books. It was a year marked by accomplishment, collaboration, uncertainty, and sometimes adversity. I'm mindful that it's not during times of comfort and certainty that we grow and evolve. It is during these times of challenge and change. The work we need to do is not over, and we are all learning, and we're always learning. Last year, we looked forward to 2020, and we spoke about the efficient use of technology and our need to fully implement and adopt it across our business practices. Little did we know then, the systems that we were putting in place would be our lifeline for succeeding and thriving in an almost totally virtual workplace at times. We also had a reasonable sized team that continued working in the office and the field to keep everything running smoothly and on the ground, as our parks and trails were very heavily used by residents, particularly during the earliest times of pandemic lockdowns. Briefly, as we look forward to 2021, we are mindful of continued innovation that is needed to deliver programs and services in new ways, ensuring that work in the field and virtual work delivers programs and services without missing a beat, while being positioned to successfully process record numbers of approvals applications in all areas, finding new ways to connect and communicate, and to maintain the support of local partners in the community for the work that we do. We're not on mute? Perfect, see this, okay. Just letting a board member back in, excuse me. On the challenges side, dealing with these record highs also means that we may be eventually dealing with and wondering if we will deal with record lows. Will there be future economic downturns? How can we help people in this watershed deal with unprecedented real-life challenges, both external stakeholders trying to build houses and living in situations that are very difficult sometimes, and internally with our board and our staff, all well under the changing environment that we're seeing today. All of these challenges mean that so much extra effort and care is needed at all times, and balancing the budget to meet the needs of our member municipalities is an important priority for me. Like our work in managing the environment, we carry out key work while looking forward to ensure we're planning for the future of this organization. 2020 was the year of innovation for South Nation conservation and sets the stage for many projects in 2021. If you look at the slide here, I want to just show some of the leadership that we are involved with. South Nation Conservation has had a number of Aboriginal partnerships for over 20 years, and we've been part of the Eastern Ontario First Nations Working Group. It's a group that gets together only a couple of times a year, but it's an innovative way to showcase environmental values and the true meaning of reconciliation between partners. Our fundraising events have also allowed South Nation to leverage municipal dollars to deliver more added value. We certainly appreciate all of the great ideas and letters of support that come to us to help us deliver environmental programs and services for local communities. I want to talk a little bit again about the Emerald Ash Borer program because it was a great example, because it was so streamlined and offered online, such a simple program to do turnkey during the time of COVID. We were asked by the city if we thought that that was a program we could deliver in 2020. We said with ease that the whole program was basically totally turnkey and made it very easy for folks that wanted to get the work done and local contractors in Ottawa to continue working with the program. Together with our member municipalities, we are making development approvals faster and more accurate through updates to our digital imagery and floodplain maps. We've coordinated a series of well-attended events throughout the watershed, conducting successful planning and public consultation sessions online for the first time again, doing all this without missing a beat. Our municipal work plans set the stage for our discussion with our municipalities and partners. They are a level of local engagement that is novel to many conservation authorities. Our constituents remind us of what we already know, how important our lands are to our local communities and partners. As an organization, we can take pride in our efforts to purchase land, complete securement and donations, and how the efforts we take today will truly leave a legacy for the future. I want to personally thank you, all of you, for your ongoing efforts and dedication to our Conservation Authority. With that, I just want to take a quick look at the next slide. So of course, irony when you say technology without missing a beat, another technology lesson. I did want to talk a little bit here about the impacts on budget. We've got just some overall impacts on budget included in this slide, but the budget presentation you have on page 20 and page 21, I've highlighted for you there some of the projects that you'll see as we go throughout this budget. So in 2021, we have a new partnership with Ontario Power Generation that will carry forward for 2 years. We've been doing a lot of municipal restoration projects in places like Russell and the City of Ottawa. We've got a number of county partnerships for land management and demonstration projects. We have floodplain mapping and digital imagery projects included in the budget. The federal funds that have allowed us to advance that work are very important for the Conservation Authority. And we also want you to know that we've got a fairly significant imagery acquisition program proposed for 2021. Some of this is subject to funding, but we've already got a lot of contributions secured from partners on that, so that's very encouraging. The things that carry forward and continue to impact the bottom line, you'll recall in 2019, our provincial transfer payment was cut in half. So that loss of $91,000 continues forward to these years. We also are looking at infrastructure and dam maintenance works, and those are going to kind of continue over the few years. We've got some capital asset pressures. We are processing a lot of development review applications. Those are, just so everyone's aware, about $700,000 to $1 million of this budget every year is sort of that real self-generated revenue on the permitting and septic side of things. So those are important programs that drive the bottom line through the authority. We've got timber harvest happening. Our insurance premiums are set to increase by an additional 15% next year, similar probably to some of you, but just wanted to let you know some of the pressures. I also know you'll see on the budget the reserve draw of 121.18. I just wanted to remind everybody that that was the purchase that we approved from the Seguin Berm access in Castleman to Lemieux. So that is the property where we'll be getting access. It's going to show up in the 2021 budget because we're waiting for a survey for that. So I just wanted to let you know that's not like a balancing of reserves. It's just for that project. And we've got two projects concluding: the partner county study that we did for UCPR and STNG, and our new conservation area in Augusta. So with that, I want to, next slide, please. I want to turn the budget presentation over to Linda, and she can go through some additional specifics. Just for ease of reference, you'll see on your PowerPoint slide that there's a budget document. So budget document Appendix A, I don't know if anyone can see that at all. Budget document Appendix A is your budget document. The top right-hand side of the PowerPoint at every slide, you can find where we are in this particular document. If we're going too fast or too slow, do ask us to adjust pace so that we can go through the budget, but also give an opportunity adequate for your questions. With that, Linda, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Angela, and good morning, board. It is my pleasure to start the financial piece of the 2021 budget presentation. So starting with, as Angela mentioned, document page 6 within the budget document is the budget summary. We have $7.2 million in the 2021 budget, which is funded by various sources. There will be further details throughout the next few slides and pages of the budget document, which will give you details on other sources of revenue in this budget is at $2.2 million. The general levy, as approved, in at $3.6 million. Also included is the City of Ottawa special levy for 2021 at $491,000, and the City of Ottawa with a deferred amount for projects that were approved in 2020. They will be deferred to 21 at $16,133. The forest land acquisition levy approved at $320,000 is included in this budget. And Angela made reference to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry dollars, which remains at $91,000. Also included as a revenue source is the source protection funds at just over $85,000. Angela also touched on the reserve amount at $121,000. That it includes the acquisition for the berm access, which will happen in the early part of 2021. Also included is the prior year surplus at $246,000, which gives us our full budget at $7.2 million. Any questions?
Thank you. I have a question for Peggy.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, a little slow turning my microphone on. On the 2 questions on the user fees, there's a decrease in this year's budget on user fees, and I over the 2020, and climate change funding seems to have disappeared from the other grants.
Is this on? You're going to page 9 of the budget document?
Page 8 is PowerPoint slide. Oh, sorry, 8. But you've mentioned it in here, so I guess you're gonna that again. Page 9. Sorry, so I can wait.
Yes, we can answer that question maybe as we get there. But I know with the user fees, those are based on the 2020 actuals, and for both programs, the development permits and the. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's summarized in here, but I should have waited till you got to that page. Sorry.
Okay, Peggy, we'll wait till we get to that page and we'll get your question answered. Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Okay. On document, the budget document, page 7, the reserve schedule. You will see on page 7 all of the details on the estimated reserves. As you know, the reserves serve many purposes for us, and they include the facilitation of some good financial planning, flexibility to take advantage of opportunities that may arise during the year. It also provides funding for some unforeseen expenditures or may cover reduced revenues if that were so the case. It also gives us the ability to reduce debt requirement in the future if that ever is needed. Our reserves are approximately 34% of our total 2021 budget, with an estimated balance coming in at the end of 2021 at just over or just under $2.5 million. And you'll notice at the bottom there, it gives you further detail of what the reserve schedule includes. And Angela did make mention this, and I mentioned it earlier, that we did have a purchase of hazard lands in 2020, and you'll see that at $58,200. And then the infrastructure access in 2021 at $135,000. Both of these were approved by the board and are funded from the revenue sharing reserve. Any questions?
Thank you, Linda. Any question for Linda concerning that budget?
Okay, on page 8 of the budget document is the levy comparison. This levy was approved by the board at the October meeting and is included at in the budget. The total for the general and the forest land acquisition is $3.9 million, with the special levies, as previously mentioned, at $491,000 included in this budget. And the schedule is on page 8, and that came to the board at the October board meeting. Now on to, I'm sorry, questions?
So Linda, we have a question from Steve.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can't seem to turn my video on for some reason. I dropped out. There was a technical issue, but I'm back here anyhow. But, and I do realize that this was covered in the last meeting, and unfortunately I wasn't there at the last meeting, but really a question on, so when I look at North Stormont, for example, the dollar change is actually a 6.3% change versus the average, which is around 3.9 as a total. And I'm just wondering about how that happens. And obviously, as a small municipality whose budget is less than SNC, a percentage change on your spreadsheet is a bigger percentage spreadsheet or bigger percentage change on our books. So if I could just get a bit of an explanation on that, that would be great.
Yes, sure. Actually, your treasurer did reach out to me with that same question, and we had a nice chat late last week on that. And that is a function of the assessment that's provided to us by the Ministry of Environment and Conservation Parks. So that assessment is through impact, and it comes to us from them. And then our overall levy increases by that 2% plus that growth of 1.5. So our overall levy increases by that value, and then it's shared out to the municipalities, our participating, our watershed municipalities, based on their apportionment share of the assessment provided to us. So it just so happens that North Stormont probably is experiencing some growth that would be beyond maybe some other municipalities, that because of that apportionment share, your assessment has grown at likely a greater rate maybe than some of the other participating municipalities.
Is that material? Thank you, Linda. That's a good explanation. We're dealing with MPAC all the time with respect to other charges. Is that material available to be distributed? I don't know whether other people would like to understand that as well, but if it's generally available, I'd love to be able to read that and get into the detail a bit more.
Yeah, what we receive is just the total value. We don't receive any kind of breakout by residential class or industrial or none of that information. We just receive the total value provided to us by the ministry.
Steve's short answer is Chrysler.
Yeah.
Yes.
The short answer for you, Steve, is Chrysler and all your subdivisions.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And I guess more the information I was looking for is just the process you use to distribute, like if that's documented somewhere, not so much the impact data I could get ourselves for our own municipality, but is the process on how you calculate that out, is it documented somewhere, or?
Yes, I have that information and I can share that with you.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Steve, and Linda will send you the information you requested. Go ahead, Linda, you can move on with the presentation.
Thank you. So on to page 9 of the budget document, which is the other sources of revenue. The page 9 provides you with some detailed background and a breakout of what the other sources are and where they're included in this budget. As you know, staff are very successful at securing funds, in particular from partners and grants. These funds advance not only the work of the authority, but in many cases, the work of our municipal partners. And I think Peggy had a question on user fees, and it must be you're comparing the 2021 budget versus the 2020 budget.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say this budget was developed on looking at what the actual dollars that were coming in for both of the development permits and the septic permits. And this is just an estimate of where that forecast will land in 2020 and where it will come in for the budget 2021.
I think, Peggy, if I may, I think you're asking about the climate change project, eh? And it did wrap up. It was a federal program that wrapped up. Yeah.
So it's no longer available, or did they replace it with another program?
They haven't. It's sort of maybe with their climate change package, they'll announce something else, but nothing official.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Peggy?
Yeah, so we're just forecasting that we're going to have a reduction in user fees in 2021.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Peggy. Next question we have from Archie before we move forward. Linda, please. Go ahead, Archie.
Yes, thank you. I mean, it's sort of to go along that line of the user fees. Like when we revised the user fee schedule not that long ago, a couple, 2-3 meetings ago, we reviewed it. Do we capture everything? Like, I mean, at the time the user fees were not at 100%. And I don't think general levy money, is any of general levy money being used to subsidize, and how much for development permits, septic permits, you know, that sort of thing? Because it should be, I know we're not at 100% cost recovery, but we try to be there. But with your numbers in there right now, will that capture the numbers that we were talking about? I think it was like at 95% cost recovery. Are those numbers jiving, I guess, if you will?
Okay, actually, we have Angela's got an answer for you.
Well, I think like when we look at the individual budgets, you'll see septic is really good on cost recovery. So it's even, septic's where we want it to be. Planning and regulations, like we talked about some of those issues about violations and site visits and complaints, that's not quite where we want it to be yet. So you'll see that there is levy on the bottom line of that budget when we get to that budget page, and you can see exactly what the levy take is. The other thing is to note in those budgets is the federal funding for floodplain mapping helps cover off a lot of salaries that normally, you know, are part of that planning group. So the year over year shows an increase. It's just there's less staff recoveries there as well because of lack of the federal funding. So it's probably, the planning and regs need work, and the septic is really, really good. Like it's there, like it's what it should be, actual cost recovery, but the planning and regs need work.
Correct me if didn't we increase our fees lately?
We increased our fees by 2%.
Yes.
All of the septic agreements, basically they're capped in the agreements at 2%. We did a 2% across the board this year, so that should help a bit because the salary increases won't be 2%. We all know that the cost of living won't be, so we'll catch a little bit of ground there. But like we say, insurance, everything else, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I agree. I just want to make sure. Okay. Archie, supplement?
You're muted, Archie.
You're muted, Archie.
Sorry, you're muted, Archie.
Try again.
I didn't realize my hand was still up. I just, okay, okay, bye.
Okay. Linda, I think.
Okay, there. Somebody's phone was ringing. So just the final slide on the budget document, just to give you some background, how the document is laid out. As you move through each of the pages, you'll see to the left-hand side budget notes, which will reference dollar values that are on the schedule to the right-hand side for each of the programs and the projects. So on the budget schedule itself, for example, salary and employee benefits, giving an example of $76,000 salary will cost approximately $96,000. This includes all the payroll premiums, the group benefits, and the retirement savings plan contributions. Contained within this budget, we have a cost of living effective July, like we do every year, and we're estimating about a 0.5%, which is a minimal budget impact. This increase is as per our personnel policy, so we of course will monitor and reach out to our upper tier municipal partners, including the City of Ottawa, to determine that average. Also in the budget is a 42.7 full-time equivalents in the 2021 budget versus 44.5 full-time equivalents that were contained in the 2020 forecast. On the travel and training line, the travel includes transportation costs for site visits, customer visits, and some external meetings. The training component includes mandatory training, that's such as first aid and health and safety requirements. Also some technical training. This just helps our staff maintain their expertise. There will also be some virtual conferences, which helps our staff and with partner and peer networking. So contained within this budget, we did, of course, in the forecast, we saw some decreases when it came to travel and training, just because of as it relates to the board. Of course, we're not traveling to meetings. We're not coming into into the office for those meetings. So those travel costs were forecasted, and we've made some assumptions in the 2021 budget based on what we experienced in 2020. You'll see that the budget notes, so to the right hand of the budget schedule, there are some reasons for change, and the reason will be noted if the amount is plus or minus $2,500 or greater. And this difference, or this variance, compares the forecast to the 2021 budget. At the very bottom of each of these schedules is a net requirement. And this is the general levy plus our prior year surplus. So that's generally how the budget is laid out, and if there are any questions.
Thank you, Linda. I do have a question from Steve. Please, Steve, go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. So there was a note in one of the reason for change, and I don't want to look at that specific line item. It's more stimulating a general question, and it refers to COVID-19. And so it's really a two-part question. Number one, does South Nation receive from the province any special funding to offset the additional costs of COVID-19? And if the answer to that is no, then that suggests that the levies in part are actually offsetting the cost of COVID-19. And I'm wondering whether or not it would be worth an accounting back to the municipalities, because we do have funding to cover additional costs of COVID-19. So if we're absorbing some of that cost through our levies, it may be worth us understanding what cost is being incurred by SNC, so that we can use the budget that we receive from the province to be able to cover those costs. I know that's complicated. Hopefully that makes sense. But so question one is, does South Nation get recuperate any of the costs for COVID?
So Steve, thank you very much. This is a very good question, and the vice chair and I, and actually with the general manager, throughout our budget review, we had a deep discussion on that. I'm not gonna, just so you know that I know most municipalities did receive COVID relief in our transfer from the province, but South Nation didn't receive any COVID money relief. But I'm gonna let the general manager, Angela, answer that question, because I know it's twofold, and it's a very good question, and it's very important actually. It sheds some lights on some of our expenses and why we are doing the budget the way we're doing it right now. So I'm gonna, I'll leave it to you, Angela.
Yeah. So, you know, we didn't receive a provincial transfer like the municipalities. I think a lot of municipalities have different ideas about the funds that and what's most appropriate for them. So Steve, in your case, if your municipality wishes, we can certainly work with you on that to figure out if there's something there that can help with your calculation and how you spend that out, some of it. Up into including maybe, you know, whether it's parks or whatever, there may be something we can do at a park with Warwick or something like that, or trying to figure out an apportionment that works with the funding constraints.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. If it's worth the effort. Again, I'm not sure what the overall cost implication was to South Nation. We can of course do our own accounting for our other municipal costs, but I don't know what the incremental cost of COVID has been on South Nation, and therefore what we would see as potential pressure we're receiving through our SNC levies.
We can, if any other municipality is interested in it on a one-on-one, I'm glad to do it, but I'll do it just where it's requested.
Okay.
Like how it's requested, yeah. We certainly have an accounting of the whole thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that Steve? Answer your questions?
I think so. Like I say, I don't want to put added pressure if the net result is going to be minimal. Like if you're going to tell me, you know, our levies, $100 of our levies is going towards COVID, then I don't want to put you through the work effort to do that. But if it's going to be substantive, then it probably would be worth the effort.
It makes a lot of sense. I agree. I hear you and I agree with you. Thank you, Steve. Any other question? Okay.
Great. Thank you, and I think I'll pass it over to Michelle is up next for resource management.
Thank you, Linda. It is my pleasure to introduce the Resource Management Department. You'll find a summary of the department in your budget document on page 13. The Resource Management team is a high-performance work team composed of skilled and respected professionals, including engineers, biologists, foresters, and information and data management specialists. Collaboration and strategic partnerships are fundamental to the continual improvement and success of the authority. Our staff are innovative and use cutting-edge technology to deliver exceptional programs and projects to our municipalities, our partners, and residents. There are 3 areas under resource management: water response programs, partner programs, and projects. Sandra, Rhonda, and I will guide you through each of these sections in our 2021 budget.
Good morning again, board members. I'm going to introduce the first section of this budget. The budget is resource management, water response programs, and you can find it in page 14 and 15 of your document. The water response program portfolio includes monitoring programs, flood and drought forecasting programs, municipal emergency management support, development of hazard mitigation strategies, and engineering and GIS support to SNC departments and member municipalities. Our monitoring programs assess the health of local streams to support science-based decision-making. The monitoring we carry out also allows us to report on watershed health and identify target areas for restoration efforts. Stream flows, precipitation, snow, and ice monitoring are key to identify potential flooding. Improvement to our monitoring network started in 2017 when 6 new stations were installed with the agri-risk funding. Efforts have been made to continue with yearly improvements. In 2021, the improvements will include the development of a 1-2-3 survey for the snow and ice data collection. Data will be automatically transferred to our water integration system, saving staff time and producing a quick analysis. In 2017, we started developing SNC watershed model to improve the flow forecasting and drought. In 2020, the model was used to delineate areas of risk with mapping output to help emergency managers. In 2021, we will continue improving the flow down drought forecasting, developing a portal to publish the forecast in our website. The improvements will include the purchase of weather data that will help us to interpret the variability of storms in our action. Since 2012, we have been successful hosting emergency managers training sessions before the spring freshet. In 2021 will not be the exception. If required, the session will be hosted digitally. Finally, this budget includes the completion of the water budget project, which will help us defining the impacts of climate change in our watershed. A portion of the increase in contracted services is related to this project. The water budget will be partially covered by the Eastern Ontario Water Resources Program funding at $19,500. If there is any questions.
Thank you, Sandra. Any question for Sandra? Seeing none.
Then I pass it to Rhonda to present the next section of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. We are moving on to page 16 and 17 of your document, Partner Programs Forests. We support our local property owners with technical advice and cost share funding to grow and manage their forests. These programs help to protect and increase local forest cover for generations in the future. This project budget includes tree planting program, woodlot advisory service, the Ottawa ash tree replacement program, roadside tree program, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry County Forests, and the butternut compensation program. In partnership with the counties of Prescott Russell and Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, we provide their residents with a woodlot advisory service and grants for forest management plans. We continue to provide professional services to SD&G to manage their county forests. And we plant trees along county roadsides to provide natural windbreaks on priority areas identified by county road staff. 2021 is the 5th and final year for the Edwardsburg Cardinal Butternut Compensation Project. We will be replacing 11 trees at the site and completing final reporting in the fall. Grants under the Ottawa Ash Tree Replacement Program help Ottawa property owners to safely remove infected ash and replace them with native trees. Since the program was launched in 2018, over 1,700 dead or dying ash have been replaced across the city. The contracted services and supplies and material amounts included in the budget cover purchasing and planting of approximately 200,000 seedlings in 2021, and the grants at just over 191,000 is for the Ottawa Ash Tree Replacement Program and the Forest Management Plan grants under the Woodlot Advisory Service.
Thank you, Rhonda. Any question? Seeing none.
Okay, we can move on then to page 18 and 19, Partner Programs Water. This budget includes the South Nation Clean Water Program, the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Program, the Eastern Ontario Water Resources Program, and the City of Ottawa Baseline Monitoring Program. South Nation delivers the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Program in partnership with Rideau and Mississippi Valley Conservation Authorities on the behalf of the City of Ottawa. We are the lead CA and are responsible for partner coordination and annual reporting to the city. This successful program has been running since 2000 and is currently pending approval for another 5-year term. We continue to work with our partners to implement projects that protect water resources through the Eastern Ontario Water Resources Program. Annual partner funding supports special projects such as floodplain mapping in Prescott and Russell, and program grants support environmental organizations, including conservation authorities, to undertake projects that protect local water resources. We support the City of Ottawa by collecting and analyzing surface water quality samples at 12 sites in the Castor and Bear Brook subwatersheds through the Ottawa Baseline Monitoring Program. The contracted services at $46,750 includes Partner Conservation Authority delivery of the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Program and City of Ottawa laboratory services for water quality analysis for the Baseline Monitoring Program. The grants at just over $324,000 include cost share grants under South Nation's Clean Water Program, the Ottawa Rural Clean Water Program, and the Eastern Ontario Water Resources Program. And if there are no additional questions, I will pass it back to Sandra to introduce the project section of the budget.
Thank you, Rhonda. Projects can be found in page 21 of your document. Our team of professional staff undertake projects that support sustainable development and reduce negative impacts on the watershed natural resources. This project improves our local environment while offering cost-effective professional services to our municipalities. Projects are typically a fixed term and have full or partial cost recovery from external funding resources. A complete list of projects is included in page 21 of your budget. Rhonda, Michelle, and I will present each of these projects in the following slides. Low impact development in pages 22 and 23 of your document. The goal of the low impact development is to filter, store, and return rainwater to the ground. Low impact development mimics nature. It is cost effective. It reduces localized flooding and reduces the stress on conventional stormwater infrastructure. In 2019, we partnered with the counties of Prescott and Russell to design a demonstration project for the La Rose Forest parking lot. The project started in 2020 with an increase of deliverables. Currently, the parking lot design is being prepared by a consultant. The project will be completed in 2021. This project is 100% cost recovery. If there is no questions, I'll pass it to Michelle Cavanaugh.
Thank you, Sandra. Habitat restoration can be found on page 24 and 25. This budget includes projects with mainly external funding that are on a fixed term cost recovery basis. In 2020, we were successful in securing another 3-year project under the Ontario Power Generation Biodiversity Program. The project focuses on improvements to 3 of our properties through invasive species removals, shoreline erosion repair, and native tree and shrub planting. Much of the contracted services costs seen under this budget relate to this work. In the budget schedule, you'll notice the discrepancy between the 2020 budget and 2020 forecast. This relates to the new OPG revenue that was not in this budget in 2020. Since 2004, we have worked with local developers, community associations, the City of Ottawa, and other agencies to restore and enhance the Leitrim wetland. Each year, we provide free shrubs for residents in the Finlay Creek community, and we work with volunteers on various stewardship activities. We host 2 Leitrim Wetland Advisory Committee meetings annually, providing an opportunity for partners to provide updates on their various projects in the area. This budget also includes the Species at Risk Benefits Exchange Project. We are entering our 8th year of this 20-year agreement. 2020 marked the end of our annual spring bird monitoring and a shift to a 5-year monitoring cycle, with mowing occurring every 3 years. Activities planned for 2021 include general habitat monitoring and reporting. Finally, we've partnered with Russell Township to plan and deliver targeted erosion repair projects along a very popular section of the East York Creek in Embrun. In 2021, we'll be working together with the township to address erosion along a section of the creek adjacent to a well-used trail. And a portion of the increase in the contracted services costs is associated with the completion of the erosion repairs and moving a pedestrian trail.
And our final project under this section is federal and provincial grants on pages 26 and 27. As Linda noted earlier in the presentation, we have a high success rate securing external funding to undertake projects. These budget pages are a placeholder for expected grants in 2021. You will note that the forecast for 2020 in the budget schedule is 0. This does not mean we were unsuccessful. On the contrary, we've received 18 grants to date in 2020. These approved grant funds have been moved to their corresponding budget schedules. The OPG project Michelle just spoke of is an example of where the funds were moved to the habitat restoration budget schedule. We recently submitted 6 grant applications, 1 to Wildlife Habitat Canada, 2 to the Climate Action and Awareness Fund, and 3 to the local Great Lakes Action Fund. And staff are currently working on 4 Intake 6 National Disaster Program funding submissions, which are due on December 1st. Over the past 5 years, we have secured 96 grants totaling just under $4.6 million. Based on our fundraising past success, we are conservatively budgeting $200,000 in revenue for 2020. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and if there are none, I will pass the presentation to John to introduce the property section of our budget.
Thank you very much, Rhonda and Sandra and Michelle, and I see there is no question. I guess we can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. The property section of the budget begins on page 29 of your budget document through to page 43. Conservation, as we all know, matters. People are inherently linked to nature. We live, work, and play in our environment. This year, though not quite over yet, has taught us a lot. We share in knowing that our strength lies in our local investments. Our work and our physical environmental assets contribute directly to the local economy while supporting a healthy environment. And like all that we do, we work to find a balance between people and nature, economy, and ecology. SNC ensures that the bond between people and their environment is strengthened and maintained by connecting people with nature through providing access to safe, well-maintained SNC land and facilities. By ensuring that the management of these assets is both economical and sustainable, that our infrastructure is maintained to reduce risk to life and property, and that the environmental of our land is maintained while meeting the demand of an increasing number of over 150,000 visitors every year. We own over 13,000 acres of community land to meet the public demand for natural spaces. These lands include our conservation areas, protected spaces like wetlands and habitat for species at risk, working forests, our water management infrastructure, and our administrative buildings. Details on each will be shared by myself, Pat, and Sandra. The budget for SNC conservation areas is found on pages 32 and 33 and includes costs associated with managing 14 parks and over 35 kilometers of recreational trails. The 2021 budget includes weekly inspections and general maintenance activities for our parks with support from our member municipalities. Staff continue to implement recommendations from tree risk assessments, removing and replacing hundreds of trees lost as a result of severe storms and the emerald ash borer infestations. This work helps restore the beauty of our parks while maintaining a safe environment for our visitors. This work was ongoing through 2020 and will continue through 2021. Changes in expenses in these budget areas reflect the changing scope of the work from year to year. Some of this work in 2020 was supported by federal funding to help create a new conservation area in Leeds and Grenville, a space we plan to open next year, which would provide canoe and kayak access to the South Nation River from its headwaters near Brockville to the Spencerville Mill. With your support, we plan to call this park the Mill Run Conservation Area. We also have some dock projects planned for 2021, which will see replacements at some municipal partner sites, including areas in St. Albert and Embrun, financially supported by fundraising efforts. The capital expense included in this area is earmarked for work at the High Falls Conservation Area in Castleman, which will include support for a washroom replacement. Funding applications are being submitted with the municipalities to support this work. You'll also notice a change in staffing in this area between years, which is a result of some staffing changes, increased demand on our conservation areas in 2020, and a result of not using students to support some of our field work this summer as a result of the pandemic. You'll note a corresponding staffing adjustment from the 2020 budget to forecast in the conservation areas, lands, and forest budget pages in this section. And with that, unless there are questions, I'll pass things over to Pat.
Thank you, John. Good morning, everyone. The community lands budget is on page 34 and 35. This includes the cost of managing approximately 13,000 acres of forest, wetlands, grasslands, and hazard lands. This section of the budget includes SNC's administrative costs as a property owner, primarily the property taxes we pay and drainage assessments. Another major component of the lands budget is the forest land acquisition program. SNC acquires land through direct purchase and donations. In 2020, SNC finalized the acquisition of 99 acres of land, and we have an additional 220 acres under consideration for 2021. All land acquisitions are approved by the Board of Directors. The slide shows one of the land infrastructure improvements completed in 2020 to support planned operational activities. This work is done using local materials and contractors.
Thank you.
Community lands SNC Forest is found on page 36 and 37 and includes the operational costs and revenues of managing SNC lands as a working forest. Salary and benefit variations, as John mentioned, are reflective of the redeployment of staff to meet needs in our parks. The SNC Forest has been managed for over 60 years and follows a board-approved forest management plan. Operational activities meet or exceed internationally accepted Forest Stewardship Council standards. The working forest provides opportunities for local businesses in the harvest, delivery, and sale of forest products. Value is added at each step of the process. Harvests, of course, are dependent on market conditions. COVID-19 saw the onset of temporary mill closures through the second and into the third quarters of 2020. You may have experienced or heard of the lumber shortages at your local building supplier this summer. Markets are recovering, and we are projecting an increase in the harvest over 2020 actuals. Harvesting is completed in compliance with environmental regulations and operating standards to protect all forest values. The working forest provides habitat for a wide range of plants and animal species. Over 700 confirmed and still counting. The working forest provides opportunities to meet the social needs of the community through hunting, or maybe just a walk along a forest harvest trail. The slide shows a harvest operation in a red pine plantation near the village of South Mountain.
Thank you, Pat.
Property. Vehicles and equipment found on page 38 and 39 includes the expense to meet SNC transportation needs. The slide shows one of our recent acquisitions, a 2020 Chevy Equinox. Our goal is to provide a safe, reliable, and economic fleet to meet the needs of all departments in program delivery. SNC currently maintains a fleet of 8 passenger vehicles, 4 heavy-duty trucks, 2 all-terrain vehicles, and 2 boats. Following our fleet management strategy, the budget includes the replacement of 1 vehicle in 2021.
Thank you, Pat. No question.
Buildings and infrastructure. Buildings found on page 41 includes the SNC administrative office and 2 leased facilities, the shop in Berwick and a private storage facility located in Finch. Our goal is to provide a safe, productive environment for visitors, board members, and staff. In addition to utilities, general operating expenses include contracted services for cleaning, grass cutting, snow removal, and servicing of mechanical systems in the building, as well as the supply of materials required to maintain the buildings in an acceptable condition. There are no planned capital item replacements in 2021.
Pat, I do have a question from Archie, if you bear with me. Go ahead, Archie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties. I was punching on the wrong icon here. It's in regards to your previous slide there in the purchase of the new vehicle for this year. You're budgeting a new vehicle for this year.
That is correct.
I don't know, is that prudent in these times? I know just in South Dundas's case, we had budgeted two new trucks and we pushed them off because of the unknown with COVID and the implications, the tax implications and financial difficulties are going to be raising. I'm just wondering what's the mileage on the vehicle you're getting rid of? Is there a history on it? Or I'll be honest with you,
It's a 2009.
I really need to see something better than just saying we're going to replace a vehicle to say, yeah, let's replace a vehicle.
Yeah, the final decision on which vehicle we will be replacing will be brought to the board. We do have 2 under considerations. One is a 2009 half-ton, and the other one is a 2010 half-ton. They all are well over 200,000 kilometers. And their maintenance history, maintenance on them is increasing. So we would just be deferring what we eventually will have to do in terms of replacing those vehicles.
I think there too, we've budgeted from the reserve, and so we thought we would make an in-year correction if needed to as well. I think there's going to be a lot of potential for in-year corrections.
Right.
So we'll take that under consideration and definitely like I said, it isn't 2009 that or 2010 we're hoping to replace, but we'll take it under consideration and it will be brought back anyways. So if we simply wouldn't purchase it if it wasn't prudent.
And come back to the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Peggy.
But even if we don't purchase it, if we leave it in the budget, this ends up counting, it ends up going into reserve at the end of the year. So we're still removing money from, excuse me, the municipalities for this vehicle purchase. So I would be kind of leaning toward Archie there and thinking maybe we should put this off for another year. I mean, we're driving if a truck around here has 250,000 on it, it's still got another 300,000 to go, as long as it keeps running. So we've got one at 400,000 and another one at anyway, quite high. But so I'm just sort of, I see Archie's point and wonder if this is maybe the time to take it out, if we're going to take it out.
Would simply reduce the reserve take though, just so we understand. That's fine, we can take it out, but it would reduce the reserve take, not the levy.
Yeah, Bill, thanks, Peggy. Bill?
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand the points that are being made. I had a question, and that is, and did I miss this? What's the estimated operating expense of a 10-year-old vehicle for the year? Like, are there a number of additional purchases that will have to be made to keep it operational, or is there an estimate of that at this stage? Because I think that's a factor.
Yes, I don't have an exact number for, we have 2 vehicles under consideration. Typically repairs and service would be in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, plus the fuel that's being used to operate it.
Thank you.
Supplement? We're good. Thank you, Bill. Any other question? Okay. Go ahead, Pat. Are you done?
Yes, I'll turn it over to Sandra to deal with the other infrastructure.
Thank you, Pat. So this is properties, erosion, and water control structures, page 42 and 43 of your document. Our water control structure includes 2 dams, 3 weirs, a dike, and a berm. Our dams and weirs are important because they provide flood control, water for domestic, industry, and irrigation purposes. They also provide hydroelectric power production and enhance the river navigation. The dike and the berm, on the other hand, are constructed around the river banks to control water flows and prevent flooding, protecting people and their properties. This section of the budget includes all expenditures to maintain our water control structure. In 2021, all will be inspected, operated, and maintained in accordance with the operation manuals. Contracted services at $115,000 includes annual inspection at the Chesterfield Dam for the gate, generator, and fall arrest, vegetation and manhole cleanup maintenance at the Chrysler dike, dike assessment project completion, and contracted services it also includes an infrastructure project. Depending on the outcome of the Castleman Dam concrete assessment, the project funding will be allocated to the priority project between concrete repairs at the Castleman Dam or the Chesterfield Dam log lifter repair. The increase in provincial revenue is the multi-year water erosion control infrastructure funds for the completion of the Chrysler dike assessment and Chesterfield Dam gate upgrades, projects that they are ending on March 31st, 2021, and the proposed 2021 infrastructure project. This closes the property section of the budget, and if there is no question, I'll pass it to Alison, and she will present the approvals department.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I will ask if there is any question. Thank you, John, Pat, and Sandra for presentation. I will move forward to Alison.
Morning, board members. Our approvals department budget is found on page 47. The approvals team includes our planning, regulations, septic, source water protection services, and several related projects. We work with our municipalities to ensure safe, timely, and resilient development in our local communities. The approvals department also provides expert technical review services that are responsive to municipal needs. This also includes floodplain mapping, planning studies, and LiDAR acquisition projects. We deliver these important programs under our legislated requirements from the province and also through valuable partnerships with our local municipalities. These long-standing municipal service agreements are a testament to years of beneficial collaboration at the local level. The development review budget is found on pages 48 and 49. This budget includes our planning and regulation services. The planning team works with local municipalities to review and comment on over 400 development applications in the jurisdiction. In 2020, South Nation reviewed 20 new plans of subdivision compared to 5 in the previous year. We also received twice the number of site plan applications, indicating a surge of commercial development in our communities. Our team also issues permits where development can affect wetlands, watercourses, or where it's near a natural hazard. This year, general permit applications were up by 40% compared to 2019. The year was also busy with a record number of occurrences and complaints. Our staff are experts at working with residents to find solutions that work for everyone. This budget also supports technical review experts provided through long-standing agreements with municipalities. Our experts provide stormwater management, geotechnical, environmental, and hydrogeological reviews. This service is essential to municipalities who rely on South Nation to provide local knowledge, increase municipal capacity, and ensure timely review processes for our developers. Overall, the 2021 budget reflects consistent staffing requirement. However, you will note there is a decrease in staff recovery related to the completion of National Disaster Mitigation Program grants. The sewage system review budget is found on pages 50 and 51. South Nation delivers the on-site sewage program under Part 8 of the Ontario Building Code on behalf of 13 municipalities. Staff issue permits for sewage system construction, conduct inspections, and review renovations and maintenance. This program is integrated with our development review service to ensure that private servicing requirements can be considered early in our planning processes. Overall, our budget this year is status quo, and staff will be reoffering this popular septic system installer training course that they have been offering to municipal partners for a few years now. It was delivered in 2020. There was also a vehicle purchase that took place in 2020 through this program. Moving on to the source water protection budget on 52 and 53. Providing safe drinking water is a key responsibility for local municipalities. South Nation Conservation assists municipalities, helping to protect areas around municipal drinking water sources and providing water-related science and data to support decision-making. The source water protection budget includes our risk management office, delivered through agreement with 13 local municipalities. Our team also maintains and updates the source water protection plan, assessment report, and supports related monitoring programs and special projects. Our work for 2021 includes updating our source protection policies and technical assessment reports, delivering risk management services, water level monitoring, and related communication campaigns. If there are no questions, I'm going to pass it over to Sandra, who will walk us through the beginning of our approvals projects budgets.
Thank you, Alison. Approvals projects are in page 55 of your document. So there is a huge amount of information about what is happening in global resources and climate change, but the effect is at local level. That is where people live and where people interact with nature. Thinking locally is the strategy to identify sustainable governance models that fit with individual communities' environmental problems. Our team of professional staff undertake projects with municipalities that support sustainable development and help mitigate the effects of natural hazards. These projects are typically fixed term and have a full or partial cost recovery. A complete list of projects can be found on page 55, and Alison, Michelle, and I will present each of these projects. Next slide. The first project is the City of Ottawa floodplain mapping project in pages 56 and 57. Our mission is to protect people and property from natural hazards, including flooding and unstable slopes. Knowing the extent of the potential flooding in the event of an extreme storm is important for land use planning and emergency management. The City of Ottawa and SNC partnership started in 2012. We signed 2 contracts to delineate flood risk areas in zones under development pressure. The first agreement was complete in early 2019, and now we are working in the second agreement. The second agreement deliverables include delineation of flood lines, flood depth, and emergency tools. The project cost is shared between South Nation and the City of Ottawa. Funding from the National Disaster Mitigation Program ended on March 31, 2020. You will notice a decrease in amounts in all lines of the budget. This is due to the end of the federal funding and also to the fact that most of the work under this contract has been complete. In 2021, staff will continue working with the city in the floodplain mapping updates to complete the remaining deliverables under Agreement 2. Next slide, please. United Counties of Prescott and Russell floodplain mapping, page 58 and 59. South Nation and the United Counties of Prescott and Russell partner to complete floodplain mapping in areas deemed as priority due to development. In the last 3 years, the stream maps were in Russell, Embrun, Nation, and Clarence Rockland. National Disaster Mitigation Program funding was obtained for all the studies. The federal government has announced the opening of the Disaster Fund at the end of November. Counting on our success obtaining fundings, UCPR has identified the need to delineate the Ottawa River hazards. $25,000 has been allocated as the county's contribution to the project under the Eastern Ontario Water Resources Program. St. Lawrence River hazard mapping, page 60 and 61. The goal of the project was to update the St. Lawrence River flood line from the township of Augusta to the township of South Stormont by acquiring new topography. Public Safety Canada awarded 50% of the cost of this project under the National Disaster Mitigation Program. The project was completed in partnership with 2 counties, 4 municipalities, 2 agencies, and 2 conservation authorities. The project ended on March 31st, 2020. Natural hazards mapping updates, pages 62 and 63 of your document. It is South Nation's mandate to protect people and their properties by providing a natural hazard management response. Floodplain and erosion hazards are critical to understand our residents and their property risks. It's a critical component of emergency management plans. SNC recognizes the need to maintain accurate flood hazard mapping across the jurisdiction. The majority of floodplain maps between SNC jurisdiction were delineated 25 and 30 years ago, using limited spatial coverage and data. The goal of this area of the budget is to develop partnerships while seeking funding opportunities to continue updating flood and erosion hazard mapping between SNC jurisdiction in priority areas. Imaginary acquisition LiDAR, page 64 and 65. Following the success of the San Lawrence LiDAR project, SNC will develop partnerships with municipalities, counties, province, and other stakeholders to obtain LiDAR in areas of our jurisdiction where LiDAR was never obtained or requires to be updated. The larger the area we fly, the cheaper the price for LiDAR. SNC will partner with neighboring CS, municipalities, and counties. We have budgeted a total cost of $250,000 for this project, with 70% revenue from partners. The United Counties of Prescott and Russell and Leeds and Grenville has already confirmed the interest in the partnership for this project. Meetings with the remaining counties are being scheduled. And if there is not a question, this is my last slide, and Alison and Michelle will present the next projects.
Hello. So the Castleman to Lemieux budget is found on pages 66 and 67. Every year, South Nation works with residents and municipalities in the Castleman to Lemieux potential retrogressive landslide area. Annual letters are sent to residents and members of provincial and federal parliament in consultation with the local municipality. In 2020, South Nation completed a major project funded by the National Disaster Mitigation Program. Staff worked with the municipality and the county to create a mitigation plan for this area. South Nation also proactively assisted the municipality with emergency plan updates, assessment of structures and residences within the project area, and a review of municipal planning documents to ensure they're consistent with South Nation regulations. Staff have also contacted residents to discuss options that are available to transfer ownership of lands in the area. There was also an associated approved expense related to the creation of a natural hazard land acquisition reserve and the purchase of specific hazard lands within this project area.
I have a question before we move forward from Archie, I think.
No, it's not Archie, it's AD. I don't know who AD is.
It's Archie, I don't know why it's all the way across AD.
He had it.
Go ahead, Archie.
Oh, yes, thank you. I didn't get my hand up early enough. It was referring to the slide before. You're still in you're meeting with SD&G on that hazard mapping, the LiDAR acquisition. But that's under here we're taking, it'd be 75,000 from tax from the levy, but you haven't got anything confirmed as far as SD&G. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we met with the municipalities of SD&G and the counties, and we don't have anything confirmed from them yet. We are going to talk again with the counties at the end of this week.
I don't know, approving a budget like that, approving an amount like that, I don't know, a little bit putting cart before the horse. I mean, you got it in there as a hit on the levy at 75,000, yet we don't know if they're going to want to go ahead with the project. So that's my concern with that.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we do have confirmations from Prescott and Russell for 50,000 and Leeds Grenville for 50,000. So we don't have everyone confirmed. That's true. But we do have, we didn't put it in with nobody's, I guess, budget. We did put it in with budgets coming from at least 2 of the counties. I think we'll have to have additional discussion, but it does come down to kind of an approach that we don't want to really put the counties on the spot, but in some areas it's been the counties that paid it, and in other areas it's been individual municipalities. So just to say that that sort of is a bit of an area that puts us in a conundrum.
Up here.
I was just, if I remember well, there was an advantage to moving forward with this project now rather than not participating. Wasn't there some funding from the federal level that was more advantageous at this point in time?
Yes, and I guess the other part of it is that the federal, when we do a bigger sweep, we also have Rideau Valley and Mississippi Valley and the county of Lanark, as well as the county of Frontenac and the county of Leeds-Grenville and the county of Prescott and Russell. So we have a lot of counties in on the project. So we also see it as an advantage for the watershed. So we'll have to figure out how we do it, or if we proceed with just the LiDAR that we have in SDG. It would be better though to have full coverage.
And to improve the services, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because the LiDAR definitely helps from a development perspective when we have more accurate maps.
Absolutely.
That's correct, right?
Yes, that's correct. It also is used for roads enhancement, for infrastructure, culverts when you have to size culverts. So there is a lot of use. We are planning to prepare a webinar for municipalities to make them familiar with the LiDAR. But there was very good and it was very good support from two of the municipalities in SDNG, South Stormont and North Dundas are looking forward to have the LiDAR in between their areas.
Yeah, so it may be that not everyone is interested, and we'll respect that, and we'll scale it up or down based on that. But because of the other county contributions, we are in a tough spot if not all counties want it. But a lot of counties are looking forward to that coverage.
Thank you, Angela. Archie, supplement? I see Peggy has her hand up.
Is there room in the reserve funds to take a portion of that from the reserve to reduce the impact on the levy?
We could always, like we can always move things around. It's true. It's a project though, so we don't normally do the capital take on projects, but we, I mean, it's possible.
I mean,
we thought that it would be good value for municipalities, but if not every municipality feels the same way, then there's always the potential to have that discussion. But we do have I gotta say, we have a very large multi-county partnership happening on this, so I guess we can just take it from there. There's a lot of people seeing the value in proceeding.
and we have a commitment on top of that, don't we?
Pardon me?
Do we have a commitment? Other municipalities?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is when it's still gonna come to the board anyway.
Still will come back to the board.
Okay, thank you. And I think Allison, you can keep going.
Yeah, I'll take us back to the county partner planning study, which is found on pages 68 and 69 of the budget. United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, and the United Counties of Prescott and Russell engaged South Nation to manage a planning study to update the official plans in each county. The project offered staff a valuable opportunity to review policies that support sustainable development and biodiversity, and also update mapping that can direct stewardship in public land acquisition. The project involves public consultation, including dedicated websites, story maps, open houses, and one-on-one meetings with stakeholders. The resulting maps and updates will provide improved environmental planning. It will help to streamline our straightforward development applications and help us connect and support our wildlife habitat in the jurisdiction. The project is a cost recovery project, which will wrap up in the spring of 2021. And with that, I will turn it over to Michelle to finish up our approvals projects.
Thank you, Allison. Subwatershed studies are found on page 70 and 71. Our staff have the expertise required to collect and analyze detailed data on a subwatershed scale. This information is used by us and our member municipalities to plan sustainable development, protect important natural features, and identify key stewardship opportunities. In 2021, we will continue our work on the South Bear Brook Catchment Study, which started in 2020 in partnership with the City of Ottawa. As the challenges, changes, and pressures on our watersheds intensify, it has become increasingly important for us to work together with our municipal partners. In 2021, we will seek partnerships to complete subwatershed studies in areas under development pressure. A change in this project area is the other revenue at $37,000. This is deferred funding from a developer targeted to watershed improvement in a high development area. We are fortunate to have skilled staff who can conduct the science and analysis to inform the subwatershed study, determine where improvements are necessary, and then deliver those improvements on the ground, resulting in tangible benefits for the municipality and the environment. This completes the Approvals Department section of the budget. If there's no questions, I'll now turn the presentation over to Carl to introduce the Corporate and Community Services Department.
Good morning, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce.
Please, Carl, just 1 second, please.
I think we do have a hand just before we move forward. Thank you very much, Michelle, but I think Peggy's hand is up.
My apologies.
Okay, so just we want to make sure we didn't miss anyone about questions. So thank you very much, Michelle and Sandra, for the presentation. And Allison will move forward with Carl. Go ahead, Carl.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce the Corporate and Community Services section of the budget found on pages 73 and 74. Corporate and Community Services guides, supports, and promotes the good work of the authority through the corporate services, information management, and communications and outreach departments. Page 75 introduces corporate services. Corporate services supports the work of the authority through the development of consistent management practices, cohesive policies, and procedures for board of directors and staff. We break the corporate services budget into three sections: governance, administration, and financial management. On page 76 and 77 is the governance section of corporate services. We provide administrative support for the board, including the coordination of monthly meetings. This includes funds for board meeting allowance, mileage, and other expenses related to your function as a representative of SNC. We have reduced the 2021 budget for travel expenses to account for further restrictions on travel. And we also experienced reductions in expenditures in 2020. Moving on to pages 78 and 79 is the administration section. Under this section of the budget, our leadership team provides overall leadership, guidance, organization, and direction to the authority to achieve consistent management, cohesive policies, guidance, and processes. Our administrative team provides corporate support for authority programs, services, and staff. This budget includes most general administrative expenses of the authority, expenses such as office supplies and insurance. Of note is the forecasted increase in insurance costs due to market-wide conditions. We're forecasting a large increase in costs. Also to note, the organization-wide costs due to COVID have been tracked under this section. We've also received federal COVID relief funds of about $25,000 on the payroll costs, which we've also attributed to this section in 2020. We're not expecting anything more in 2021 at this time. On pages 80 and 81, you will find the financial management and reporting section of corporate services. We provide the board of directors and staff with timely financial information needed for operational decisions. This budget includes professional fees for the annual audit, and the budget is status quo over 2020. Finally, for my section on pages 82 and 83 is the information management section of the budget. We implement and maintain SNC's technology infrastructure and manage corporate records and data. The budget is status quo, and a major focus in 2021 will be file management and digitization. Previous investments in this area have set SNC up well for distributed working from home, working in the field, working in the office, and we look forward to maintaining and improving our systems. With that, I'll pass over to John to introduce communications.
Hello, and thanks, Carl. I have the pleasure of serving as your guide for the duration of our budget presentation. We'll begin with our activities under communications and outreach, found on page 85, which brings us right through to the end of page 94. Our team works to promote and share information on all of the projects, programs, and services that we've discussed throughout the entire SNC budget. Through various mediums, we connect with member municipalities, residents, partner organizations, and stakeholders, all while ensuring the consistent use of our corporate brand to develop an identity and image that people can recognize, appreciate, and trust. Details on our corporate communications can be found on pages 86 and 87 of your budget document. This section of the budget is home to SNC's standing committees, including communications, clean water, fish and wildlife, and forestry. These committees review SNC programs and develop recommendations for the board. The board-approved terms of reference for our standing committees identifies the mandate and responsibility of each committee. Changes in this area are a result of decreased meeting costs while hosting online meetings in 2020 and anticipated costs in 2021 through a hybrid approach to meeting expectations, that being some online and some in person. SNC's corporate identity is also maintained in this budget through products like uniforms and the coordination of corporate memberships and subscriptions for staff and programs. Some reduced revenue and expenses are a result of staff activities that did not occur in 2020 due to the pandemic. Our outreach portfolio, which includes education and event support, can be found on pages 88 and 89. SNC promotes the protection and proper management of natural resources within our region through local event support, co-hosting environmental workshops, and our at-cost educational programming. Tomorrow's leaders need to be equipped for tomorrow's challenges, and we know that we have a role to play to help prepare our youth for the future that they're going to inherit. This realization requires a commitment from us to provide key environmental outreach opportunities for our future leaders. 2020 presented many challenges in this area, and staff worked to find new, meaningful ways to connect with our communities, either online through initiatives like our Nature at Home video series, or in person through safe activities like our spring community free tree campaigns. Though we did not deliver any education programs in schools this year, we do still have several schools reserved for our programs when conditions improve and it's safe to do so. At this time, we've modestly budgeted some of our usual outreach programs for next year, including some support for our watershed adventure kits, our geocaching program, our maple syrup education program, our youth fish camps and youth hunt apprenticeships, and our school-wide and increasingly popular Stream of Dreams environmental education and community art program, all of which help to foster a lifelong appreciation of the environment. This portfolio is highly reliant on fundraising efforts, strong community partnerships, user fees received from our schools, and private donations that are received every year. Moving along, pages 90 and 91 contain our partnership development section of the budget. This budget section is a reminder of the effort and success that this agency has in recruiting fundraising revenue to support our work. Expenses and revenue from our annual Friends of SNC golf tournament is included here, along with grants that we ourselves award to community groups to support various projects and events, which are reviewed by our communications committee. Your board discretionary grants are also included in this budget area. Our community funding provides a high profile for SNC at a relatively low cost, and it encourages the use of our water courses for recreation while supporting various environmental initiatives. Grant categories here include river, agri-environmental, heritage, and community environmental outreach. As a temporary amendment this year, we also supported 30 different community tree planting projects this fall in places like public municipal parks and municipal recreation facilities. And though we didn't host a golf tournament this year, we did engage in other online fundraising methods, including our Art for Trees auction, which raised just over $6,500 to support tree planting activities next year. Turning the page, media and communication products can be found on pages 92 and 93 of your budget document. Our programs and services are promoted through the distribution of various products, including things like weekly press releases, monthly newsletters, memos to councils, letters to residents on projects, and various environmental or advertising campaigns. We also maintain our websites and social media outlets and market our programs through digital and print products and materials, and we work to update things like signage in our parks. Modest changes in this project area are due to savings realized from staff completing work in-house on things like graphic design, French translation, and changing program support deliverables from year to year. Which does bring us to the end of our budget document and the end of our presentation. Should you have questions, we'd be happy to answer them, but we'd like to say that we genuinely thank you for the opportunity provided to us to present and showcase the important work that we do for the environment and our local communities on behalf of our 16 member municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Great presentation by staff, of course, and very good interaction with questions and answers. We do have some questions from the floor. We're going to start with Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a little slow. I'm looking back at page 86, and I know we have 4 standing committees, sorry, and they're listed there. We also have health and safety, which is, I believe, a sort of a standing committee. But what other committees do we have and where do they fit? I know we have Leitrim Wetlands, I know we have McIntosh Park, I know we have a Moose Creek committee. Are there others, and where do they fit under the budget area?
Certainly, good question, Bill. On page 86 and 87, that budget area is specific to our standing committees. And as you've guessed, most of the other working groups or committees are hosted in other project areas. So things like the Leitrim Wetland Advisory Committee was in the budget page that Michelle presented on habitat restoration. Work is included there. When we have other working groups specific to forestry or forest conservation, we include those costs in those specific program areas. So it is distributed throughout the budget, but only our standing committees and our board members receive per diems. So that's why there is a generally an expense that's accounted for here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. We have another question coming from Archie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wondering, is this PowerPoint presentation going to be uploaded to the website, director's website?
I see a head nodding for you, Archie, and I see Angela saying yes.
Yes, and the PowerPoint also gets uploaded to the general public website as well.
Any other question from the floor, from the board member, sorry? Thank you very much. I do want to offer a couple comments, and I just want to basically have a few, like I said in my opening remark, this is a very challenging year, 2020 and 2021 with COVID, but the presentation that staff pulled in and the budget that it's been presented to us, I personally looked at it and it's been well looked at it and it's been well documented and presented to the board, because like everybody knows, we did have COVID since March, but it didn't make us stopping from conducting and doing business. We heard from staff the amount of work we've been doing at the SNC. Allison mentioned 40% increase in applications, double site plan, double the number of the site plan approval. This is all take effort. We haven't stopped working. The door hasn't been shut down. Yes, we adapted to COVID. We're still doing delivery services, professional services to our municipality and our stakeholder and our partner. There is a two comment I offered. In the LiDAR purchase, I do find it and I do feel that South Nation is committed and we are here to deliver services. And I find it within our professional services and to deliver those services to municipalities. So I find it very good investment personally, especially we have over 50% of this, it's already committed to municipalities. It's a good planning. It's a good for us to have the tools, and it's good for us to be able to deliver those to our partner and to our municipality. I do have a comment I heard it also from my board member, and I think I will, if I can put a request or direction to Angela concerning the purchase of the car. I'm hoping that before we purchase the car, and we heard it from the board, if we can come back to the board and give us some history on the car we're replacing, just to make them feel a little bit more comfortable and really in the need for it to replace it. And that will be good, and I'm sure that will be well received by our board members, if that's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, I hear even further that we probably will consider not buying it.
But it's, as long as it's been addressed, I really appreciate it, and that's all my two comments I offer to my to the board member, and I would love to take any other question if there is anything. Bill, do you have anything you want to add? Okay, nothing from the team, and I want to thank personally all the staff for a great presentation. Thank you very much for all the effort and how you presented the board very professionally with this budget 2021. And I'm hoping that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully 2021 will bring a little bit less restriction. Other than that, that's all what I have to add to this to my comment. We're going to move forward to approve the budget. I'm assuming we do have mover and seconder. I think Pierre and Steve, they're mover and seconder. And we can go ahead to the, should I read it again or?
You can read it again. We have mover and seconder. Doesn't matter whichever you prefer, Mr. Chair.
So since we have a mover and a seconder and we already read the recommendation, all in favor? Anyone dissent? Archie, are you dissenting or you're on? I saw your hand came after. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not real quick with my fingers. I was trying to get my hand down. Sorry.
I just want to make sure I respect every board member, and I know that it's a technology, so I want to make sure. So the motion is carried. All in favor. Thank you very much, board member, and thank you very much, staff, and thank you very much, Angela, for your hard work, and you and your team for presenting to the board with the great budget 2021 successfully. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move to our next items on the agenda is C, and it's update Conservation Ontario Strategic Planning Working Groups, and the update will be present. It's on your agenda from page 22 to 23, and Angela will be presenting for us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It will be brief, as most of these reports, I think, can be. Conservation Ontario is having a strategic planning working group. I do believe it's important for us, whether at the director level or staff level, to participate in these things. My name is there for the Governance and Structure Committee on page 23. But if one of our other elected officials wants to sit in lieu of me, I'm glad to tell Conservation Ontario that I'll be replaced for an election as well. So whichever floats best, but right now I've tabled at least so we can get a spot in there. So.
Thank you very much, Angela, and my apology, I should have read the recommendation. The recommendation is the board directors receive and file the Conservation Ontario Strategic Planning Working Group update. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? I see Archie and I see Peggy. Thank you very much. And I don't think, I say it on behalf of the board, I think we're very happy with with the work you've been doing on this one, and we'd like you to keep your name, so I don't see all the board members rushing to take your.
Yeah. Well, I will be advocating, I think what you'll be advocating is that there's more elected officials
We
on there than
appreciate,
staff.
we appreciate your due diligence and asking the board, but we thank you very much. All in favor on that? Thank you, motion carried. Sorry, Angela.
No, that's good, thank you.
Okay, we move to D. And it is a request for approval, conservation area project expenditure, and we'll update from John on page 24 to 25. I'll read the recommendation. The board director approve conservation area project expenditure at the W.E. Burton Conservation Area to contractor E for approximately $34,000 plus HST. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Pierre and Michael. Thank you. Any question for John? Seeing none. John, anything you want to add or you want to say?
Sure, I can just comment quickly. Tree management services are definitely needed at the W.E. Burton Conservation Area. We did have a board report a few months ago with that update where approval was provided to go out to tender for that work. So the tenders are summarized on page 24 of your agenda package. We did have 8 contractors attend a mandatory site meeting, and we did have 5 that submitted bids. At this time, we are proposing to proceed with the lowest bid at $34,000 plus HST.
Thank you very John. John, I have a couple questions for you. First is from Archie and second by Jerry. Go ahead, Archie.
Yes, I guess just out of curiosity, there's no way we can find anybody that would take that wood, I guess, if you will, for firewood, or is it at all usable for firewood? There's no interested bodies out there for that, or look at that possibility?
Yeah, excellent question. And something we generally do, especially when staff do the tree removals, we definitely try and work with somebody local to purchase the wood on site, which, you know, we've had great success in places like Jesso's Falls in Plantagenet pretty regularly to do that with. In this instance, staff have been removing trees throughout the year, especially the ones that are close to the trail, but the 150 trees that need to be removed are larger and require contractors. So we were hoping that when we went to tender, that there would be some value in the purchase and sale of the lumber for us. And so with the tender, it does include removal. So the contractor is responsible for the lumber itself. So they'll own it once they remove it, unfortunately. And to give you an idea, Archie, when we do contract, you know, 1 or 2 trees out at a time, we're generally looking at between $200 and $250 per tree. So this is in line and consistent with what we expected.
Archie, supplement?
No, that answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, Archie, and thank you, John. Jerry?
Yes, John. There's a big discrepancy between the top priced bidder and the lower one. Any idea why?
Yeah, and I think it's going to come back to the response I provided to Archie. The actual product, the lumber itself, the wood, for some contractors provided value, right? So for them to come in and do the removal and take the trees out, they're considering that, you know, they're able to get some value or return on the trees that they're removing. With contractor A, you can expect likely that they didn't factor that into their purchase at all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, John, for presenting the report. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. We move to E, request for approval, Chesterville Dam, gate heating and electrical upgrades, and that will be on page 26, 27. Sandra will be presenting, but I'll read the recommendation first. The Board of Directors approve retaining company A to complete upgrades of the Chesterville Dam gate electrical and heater at a cost of approximately $58,121 plus HST. Can I have a mover and seconder? I have Steve, and I see Jerry's hand. And discussion, Sandra, go ahead.
Sandra, you may be muted.
I apologize for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Chesterfield Dam Electrical and Heater Assessment Report was completed by Stantec in March, in March 2020. The report outlined the upgrades that it needs to be done to the gate and the heater system, and they budgeted approximately $78,000 for the project. We apply to the provincial water and erosion control infrastructure program, and we obtain half of the budget for this project. So we requested quotes to complete the project from 9 companies, and we received quotes only for 2 companies. And we think that one of the constraints that the company is facing quoting for this project is that the project itself is happening inside the gate, which is a confined spaces. So below in the table, you can see the quotes from contractor A and B, and we are recommended to go with the lowest quote, which is the company A.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And is this work going to be done this year, Sandra?
Yeah, I have everything aligned to start working at the end of November.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board members? Seeing none, I have a mover and seconders. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much, board members.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And next one is F, request for approval, sale of wood, and that will be presented by Pat on page 28. I'll read the recommendation. The board director approved the awarding of contracts SNC 1617-2020 to contractor A, and I'd like to have a mover and a seconder before discussion. I see Pierre, and I see Steve. And go ahead, Pat.
Yes, we held tenders for the sale of wood, closing on October 30th, 2020. There were 3 compartments under consideration. We had received 1 bid from 1 logging contractor. That's for the compartment 1617. We didn't receive bids on the other 2 compartments. Apparently we have an access issue. We marked these properties at the beginning of the summer, and since that time some beavers have moved in and destroyed the access to the properties that we'll have to deal with, and we'll re-release those properties in the future.
Any question for Pat? Seeing none, we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much, board. Item I, request for approval permit issued on page 35 and 37. Update. I'm going too fast. Update on site sewage permit issued. Allison, page 21 and 31. And recommendation board director receive and file the on-site sewage permits issued update. Can I have a mover and a seconder? I see Peggy and Archie. And go ahead, Allison. Floor is yours.
Only 2 highlights on this report. We're working on decommissioning a number of septic systems in Embrun. A lot of people choosing to connect to municipal infrastructure as a result of increased development within the village, which is great. And also, I would just say the team is working very hard to finalize inspections and try to get people moved into their homes before winter. We still have a lot of people who are under a lot of pressure trying to get into their homes. And I know Monique and the team are working very hard to get as many done as possible before the snow really slows us down.
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment to Allison. through you, Mr. Chair. Just Allison, I won't get into the specific development, but I just wanted to thank you for your responsiveness on a subdivision development that one of my colleagues was working on. I just want to say one of the things that many of the developers that my firm works with appreciate with South Nation is your responsiveness to application requests, to permits and approvals. It's this that really is essential for us when it comes to completing subdivision registrations. And, you know, in terms of overall, I didn't say it during the budget, but overall, the commentary that I've received sort of, I'll say, offside from developer clients has been very supportive of South Nation having the resources to maintain that responsiveness, because oftentimes when there's cutbacks, even if they're not in the development and approvals area, if the bag of work to be done is the same amount of work, and yet you know, it inevitably leads to moving of resources to other areas, and even in spite of cutbacks. So I just wanted to say thank you. If you want to know the specific development, I can tell you offside, but up front, I just wanted to say thank you for your responsiveness. I know it was appreciated by the client in particular.
Thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael, for your comment, and it's always nice to relay those good messages and positive messages that our staff has been doing, no doubt, day in and day out on the field and in the office, to making sure our planning is being delivered to our development community. So thank you very much, Michael. Any other question? Thank you very much, Allison. All in favor? Thank you very much. Motion carried. We move to item H on the agenda, page 32 and 34, an update from planning activity. Also, Allison. Recommendation, board director receive and file the planning activity update. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Archie and Jerry. And floor is yours, Allison.
Not many comments on this one. Thank you, Mr. Chair, but I would note that we've received, even in the last 2 weeks, 3 or 4 new subdivision applications within Prescott Russell. We're seeing a lot of people pushing again to try to get lots brought to market, not seeing a slowdown yet. And I know James is also working very hard with developers in Ottawa. So yeah, it's a good thing, and we're happy to be busy, and we're all looking forward to a little Christmas break coming in a month or so.
And it's well-deserved one for all of you, Allison. Jerry, you have your hands up. Do you have any comment? Okay, I guess there is no comment from Jerry, but I also want to echo the hard work that has been happening, and I know I totally agree with you. Prescott Russell has been booming with all the good development. I'm hoping that they're saving all that money and collecting all the development charges. But yeah, it's been the housing market is not slowing down at all, and we're very happy to see that. Thank you very much, Allison. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Item I, request for approval permits issue. Also probably page on 35 and 37. And recommendation, the SNC board director approve permits 142 to 164 issued under Ontario Regulation 170/06 development interference with wetlands and alterations to shorelines and water courses. Can I have a mover and a seconder? I see Steve and Peggy. And also Allison will be presenting on behalf of Jeff, I guess. Go ahead, Allison.
Yes, I'll present on behalf of Jeff this month again. As you can see, the list of complaints and issues continues to grow, but many of those have been resolved. I know the team is working with the County of UCPR on challenging files up in the Dickinson Creek area. There's a lot of things where we step in to bring people together to solve problems, but there are a lot of people who are bringing problems forward. Jeff's an expert at working with both the municipalities, the drainage supers, and the landowners. And we also have Eric McGill, who's been supporting him with lots of different kind of legislative requirements. They did some training this week on search warrants, for example. So the team is doing well, but working hard. I would also say that they did complete their timely review reporting, which is something we do for Conservation Ontario. As a high growth conservation authority, we've agreed to meet certain advanced timelines. And we did provide our reporting to Conservation Ontario. Timelines are looking pretty good, but we're still working on some internal bugs with our software just to make sure that everything's accurate. But great work being done by the regulations officer and his support team.
Thank you very much, Alison. I have a question from Francois.
Thank you, Chair. Let's talk about our friend, Mr. Jeff Owens. Has anybody seen him? Is he all grown up with hair and a beard, or what? What's happening there? Alison, you're hiding him.
He's looking fresh, and he's always looking his best, putting his best foot forward. He even got new work boots 2 weeks ago. So we're taking good care of him. And he's relatively happy, though I suppose I should let him come on and say hi one of these days, or else you guys will miss him too much.
Right, relatively happy. Can you elaborate on that?
You're all relatively happy.
Yeah, we're all relatively happy. I heard that.
All right.
Come out.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Francois, for your concern, and I'll make sure I'll ask Alison next time when she's presenting on behalf of Jeff. Maybe she'll put his updated picture every time.
At least bring a photo of him, and I can put it.
Just to make sure that we look, making sure he's okay and he's happy. We have another question from Peggy.
I have to apologize for my failure to recognize that I have a relative on that list, and I should not be moving it, and I should also have declared a conflict.
Okay.
We will amend the paperwork as needed.
Can we put Jerry?
We need an amended move. We just need an amended seconder. So can we get a seconder in lieu of Peggy? Bill has agreed. Thank you.
My apology, Peggy.
No, it's mine. Sorry.
Okay, so now we cleared the air and we're all good, and then documented, and Angela took a note, and the secondary will be Bill, and the mover will be Bill. So on the report, all in favor? Carrie, thank you very much, Alison. On behalf of Jeff, please convey our hello to him. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please note my abstention.
May I have a comment, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
As we approved the last 3 reports, I did a quick summary, and I think there were about 140 different reports or issues that were dealt with, and that amounts to about 7 per working day. So I'm just going to add to what 2 or 3 people have said already, compliments to the staff for the amount of that they're dealing with extremely well.
Well taken, and very good comment. Thank you very much, Past Chair Bill. I know I second that one with you. It's been very busy for our staff, and they've been doing a very good job. So thank you very much for that comment.
Thank goodness we love what we do, eh?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make sure you convey those messages. We move to item number 7 on the agenda. It's a financial report, and it's on page 38 and 42. We have requests for approval, money received and the disbursement registry for October 2020. Carl will be presenting, but before Carl move on, I'll read the recommendation. The board director receive and file the money received report for October 2020, and further that the board approve the disbursement register of $626,213.26 for October 2020. I'm used to read the millions.
Yeah, I know. We're not.
Moved by Bill, seconded by Pierre, I guess. And Carl, the floor is yours.
I don't have anything to add, Mr. Chair, other than just thanking Deb and Simon for putting this report together every month.
Any question or any comment on that? And the question is, all in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Carl. Number 8, I don't see we have a supplemental agenda. Angela, am I right on that one? Thank you. We move to number 9, dates of upcoming meetings. Third Thursday at 9 a.m. unless indicated otherwise will be December 17, 2020. That will be right before Christmas. Hopefully we'll have a very short meeting, and then we'll wish everyone at that time some, make sure you wear your Christmas hat for that meeting. It's not mandatory, but to be just in the spirit of the holiday. January 21st, 2021, Roma virtual conferences is January 25th and 26th. We probably will have some delegation. I already registered for that, so we probably will have some interest of board member. But February 18, 2021 is OGRA, also virtual conference this year, and it's February 22, 25th. And I see that most of our AGMs this year and all our conferences is virtual. March 18, 2021, annual general meeting. And number 10, further motion for the board and discussion of SNC issues. Can we please, anyone have any discussion or anything like to add? I know Bill's put his hand up first, so go ahead, Bill. The floor is yours.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Chair, that we had a very full and very lengthy and very thought-provoking agenda, and you handled the details of it very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I learned from the best. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate it. Any other board member like to say anything or add anything for discussion? Seeing none, I want to thank you all for participating today with us. As I said it before and I say it again, staff did an amazing job. Board member did amazing also by dialogue and asking questions, and hopefully we got all the answers. Thank you for participating this morning with us, and I'm sorry, this is my second chair of that meeting, and that was a very productive one for our board member and for our staff. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great day and stay safe. And I see that our number in Ottawa and Eastern Ontario are actually declining. I'm going to knock on the wood. Does not mean we're off the woods yet, but the people are listening and people are addressing COVID seriously. And like I said earlier, I see that there is some light coming at the end of the tunnel. So stay safe and thank you very much. I think I need an adjournment. All in favor? Thank you very much. 12:08. Thank you.
12:08. Thank you.
Are we off now?
Want to mute the owl?
Is it shut down now? Are we off?
It will be as soon as it